recently dug into non-toxic wall paint because I just moved into a new house and I'm going to be painting my walls. I was a little concerned that these were going to be really expensive or that there wouldn't be many options, and I was super pleasantly surprised. So I'm going to break down non-toxic wall paint. And I discovered that lots of indoor house paint can actually have many harmful chemicals, right? Specifically VOCs and PFAS, the toxic forever chemical. VOCs are used in a lot of different products, and the health impacts from VOCs may include eye, nose, and throat irritation, headaches, loss of coordination, nausea, damage to liver, kidney, and central nervous system. Oh, and some VOCs do actually cause cancer. The risk comes not just from breathing it in as you're painting, but over time, VOCs will actually continue to off gas, and that can be absorbed into dust particles. And dust is actually a really big issue, right? Over time, that paint, either through abrasion or just because it ages, it will chip off into tiny, imperceptible little bits and get into that dust. And as we now spend about 90% of our lives indoors now, human beings ingest a lot of dust. This is one of the reasons that lead paint was so toxic, especially to children over 100 years ago. And even though we don't have lead in our paint anymore, a lot of paint does have like our generation's version of it, which are PFAS, the toxic forever chemical. So PFAS, they're known as that toxic forever chemical because they will never break down in the environment. There's over 10,000 different kinds, and it has been proven that there are multiple kinds of PFAS in many commercially sold wall paints. Some of the specific kinds of PFAS that were found are so toxic to human health that the FDA, which never bans anything, went so far as to actually ban it from our food contact materials. However, it's still allowed in our paint. PFAS are linked to lots of different types of cancer, a suppressed immune response, and many other health impacts. They build up, right? So every tiny little bit that we ingest through the dust will build up on our bodies just like lead. And so obviously we're not eating paint off of our walls and we're not eating on our walls, but that paint does chip off and it gets into the dust. And so just cleaning your paint in the sink would be another way that PFAS actually enter our water supply, right? And remember, y'all, they're called the forever chemicals because they're never going to break down in the environment. So they just keep building up more and more. It's really unclear how much our bodies ingest VOCs and PFAS from the paint and the dust, but it's better to just avoid it, right? There was a report a few years ago that tested 94 paint samples, all of the big brands, right? And they found that about half of them had PFAS. However, good news, there's actually lots of different types of non-toxic paint. When I was looking into this, I was also really concerned about the price, right? I was worried that some of these were going to be really expensive, but amazingly, for the most part, they are about the same as every other paint on the market, with the exception of one kind. What's also cool is that with a lot of these brands, you don't necessarily have to use so many coats and a primer. From what they claim, and I haven't actually tested it yet, you really only have to use 1 to 2 coats, and many of them you don't necessarily have to prime. Brand RO paint has only 5 ingredients. They also offer like regular and anti-mold and air purifying paints. I haven't tried those, but it sounds really fabulous. Time, I believe that's how you say it. They have a very small percentage of acrylic, which is actually a legacy brand that's been around since the 1800s. And then lastly, there's Audison linseed paint. Now, this was the only one that was of a higher price point. It was priced similarly to Faro and Ball, and it's made with only 3 ingredients. So I'm going to be getting a few samples, and I will walk you through the process as I paint. I'm excited that there are so many options for non-toxic paint that I can use.